Good evening. You're with the Urban Debate with us here tonight. I'm Sahar Zaman, and we're making a start and keeping the focus here on the elections. That's because we've gotten a very important insight on how things are going to look basis these numbers that we're going to play out on your screen. And these are figures now that are coming in from our Times Now See Voter Opinion Poll. It's out for these upcoming assembly elections here. But before you get down to more number crunching on what we know, the findings here on what's the mood of the voter here for these elections, let's quickly take you through the methodology here that's been followed. On which date this was conducted? This was between the 4th to the 5th of March 2021, which is barely about 4 days ago here. The sample size of the poll is 3,071. The margin of error in this poll extremely minimal, plus minus 3% there. Let's help you understand on how we're going to break this down tonight. We're going to be going state by state, and we'll break it down into segments where we are looking at seat projections, vote share projections. Then we'll come down to the most popular personality in the state, because elections these days are also fought on the power of a personality, which is the most popular face, whether it's the sitting chief minister or is it someone campaigning from outside who's just brought into the state as a fresh face here. And of course, most importantly here, the people's issues. What are top of the mind for the voters? So let's make a start here. Out of all the 5 listings that we have for the 4 states and 1 union territory, the most keenly watched and the most high-pitched battle here that we've seen is West Bengal. So let's play out those figures of West Bengal for you. This is basis what we're looking at on seat share, on what we have right now for the projections that have come in here for West Bengal. And while we play out these figures, also keep in mind what the current figures are of the 2016 State Assembly. Now, the TMC is looking at a projection of 146 to 162. This is coming down to where it currently sits at is 211. But this projection is still enough here for the TMC to maintain its power for a record 3rd term here, because it would still manage, as per these numbers, to stay above the halfway mark. For the BJP here, it's making massive gains. If we look at the swing factor basis this projection, it's plus 27.3%. That is huge. It's a huge gain, but it's still not 200 par. 200 plus is what the BJP is pitching for, and it's still not enough to be there for that magical figure above the halfway mark either. The other alliance here, which is the Congress and the left here, it's losing out. And this is a projection of a swing of minus 23.1%. Currently, the projections as far as the seat numbers here goes is between 29 to 37, and that is still a major climb down to where it is currently sitting at for the 2016 Assembly here, which is 76. We're going to be playing out more of those figures here while we go ahead with this discussion. But first, let me quickly introduce you to our first set of guests here. This is keeping the focus down here on the state of West Bengal. We have with us Mr. Javed Ansari, senior journalist with us. Is Anila Singh, spokesperson of the BJP. Shoptik Chakrabarti here, member of the TMC, and Dr. Fawad Halim, who's the spokesperson of the CPIM. Good evening to all of you. Thank you for being with us. But first, starting with Anila Singh. Anila, the numbers that we've gotten in here, this is the opinion of the mood of the voter here. And they're in the mood to give a lot more gain to the BJP, but not enough, it seems, to go above the magical figure, the halfway mark. It's not 200 par.
Sir, is this question for me? You have to repeat, because, my audio got connected just now.
All right, Anila, so the figures that we have for the BJP here on the seat projection, if you can see that up on our screen, I'll repeat it for you here. We're looking at massive gain here of a swing of plus 27.3%. It's a projection of between 99 to 115 seats in the assembly. It's a huge gain. It's commendable, but it's still not enough. It's not enough here to cross the halfway mark.
See, this opinion poll, I think it has been done in a very conservative way. That is why these figures are not showing us above 200. But let me tell you, in all practical ways, and the confidence which we have in the people of West Bengal, and they have confidence in Bharatiya Janata Party, I am telling you that this is going to cross 200. Not as a Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson, but as an awakened citizen of this great country, I know it very well that what is happening in West Bengal, people are fed up. Mistrust of these citizens on the rule of law, and that weakens the basic fabric of good governance. I mean, that is the type of situation is in West Bengal. People have lost faith in good governance. They know that this is the state where crime is institutionalized, corruption is a lifestyle. So tell me, why not people are going to vote for Bharatiya Janata Party, a party whose stand is very, very clear, a party whose ideology is very, very clear, a party for whom nation is above everything. And when we talk about nation, then definitely the citizens living in this great nation comes above all. So now is the time when West Bengal really needs a political party which can give a right atmosphere for the growth. See, crime-free society is not dream of the citizens, but it should be the motto of any good government. But this is not happening in West Bengal. So as we talk about TMC, we can very well say T is for Tola Bandi, or you can say terror. M is for murders which are happening there, and C definitely for crime and corruption. And
all right, so you're saying that this is going to pitched on lawlessness here and corruption. But we'll play out the people's issues in just a bit here. Corruption, of course, figures high on that list here for people's issues, but so is unemployment here as well. But let's keep the focus on these numbers. Shoptik Chakrabarti, please, your reaction here to this on these figures. It's enough for the TMC perhaps to survive in power for a record third term here. But it's also a huge loss. Those numbers are drastically reduced.
Good evening and thanks for inviting me here. I would say that it's a very important thing to see that BJP has three divisions now. One is old BJP, one is new BJP, and the TMC leftovers. They don't have a CM candidate, and they are basically reacting where we are actually acting. So we have gone ahead and announced 291 seats, where they have just announced 57 seats. They're just going on a follow-up. They're catching up, basically. So in this scenario, I feel it's going to be a complete sweep for our Didi, Mamata Banerjee. And talking about what Mamata Banerjee has done, we all know there are so many prokalpos, so many things which Didi has done. See, what common people want. They want three basic things: treatment, Shastro-Shati, talk about education, Kanyashri, free ration. So the basic needs of the people has been addressed, and they're very happy with whatever has been done. Over 89,000 kilometers of road has been built by our state government. So our Mamata Banerjee, our leader, our Didi, she is showing the way of Bengal to the world. And as far as BJP goes, I'm wondering who is going to lead them. There are so many. Will any TMC left over those who have...
All right. Dr. Fawad Halim, as far as the Congress left alliance here goes as well, it's a worry because it's only a further shrinking of space here. The Congress left, which is currently sitting at 76, is going to go far down, basis what this projection is showing us right now, that it's only going to be further reduced between a 29 to 37.
Well, at the outside, let me congratulate you, because you definitely have shown the courage that the left and the Congress is going to increase its vote percentage compared to 2019 by at least 2 percentage points. So I first have to congratulate you for your courage. Given the situation here in India, people have to really show exemplary courage to actually show that the left and the Congress is actually increasing its vote percentage in context to the last election that were held in West Bengal. Now, what is very interesting to note that day before yesterday, Narendra Modi's rally at Brigade Parade Ground, the Bharatiya Janata Party official social media handles had to actually steal photographs the left and the CPIM's brigade rally and post it on their page to actually portray that the brigade rally of the Bharatiya Janata Party was a successful one. Now, people who are actually stealing photographs to actually convey to their constituencies that this entire show, which was a flop show in West Bengal, which was addressed by the Prime Minister of India, is something that actually shows as to in which direction the Bharatiya Janata Party is moving in. And the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesman has very clearly said that crime has been institutionalized by the TMC, whereas criminals are being institutionalized by the Bharatiya Janata Party. If you looked at the stage, it looked as if Narendra Modi was actually taking the roll call of the ED and the CBI. Mithun Chakrabarti has got an ED notice.
No, but Mr.
Mukul
Fahad
Roy is
Halim, there's
on.
nothing that you're saying about your own alliance. There's what is the big takeaway for your own alliance here? You've compared the vote share with respect to 2019, which was Lok Sabha, but we're getting you vote share analysis basis 2016, which was the previous state assembly, and the swing factor here being for the Congress left is a minus 23.1%. So undoubtedly, it is shrinking for the Congress and left basis these figures here. But we'll get on those issues in just a bit. Mr. Javed Ansari, for these numbers that you've seen on our poll, what's your big takeaway on how this is going to fare on ground?
Look, obviously, Mamata has managed, if these numbers hold, Mamata Banerjee has managed to hold off the BJP. The BJP is making giant strides, but yet not good enough to occupy Writers' Building. Perhaps their time will come, but not this time. And again, if these numbers are correct, then the left and the ground is shifting irrevocably from under the feet of the left and the Congress party. They have been totally eclipsed. Not only is the BJP from 3 will now be at the very least 99, otherwise it will cross 100, which in itself is a major, huge achievement. They will be the principal opposition party, a role that was once occupied by the left, and the Congress will now be played by the BJP. And they will, and Mamata Banerjee winning the third time in the face of such seemingly such huge odds is a big achievement. Whether again, but she's losing numbers. She might be losing numbers, so therefore she will not have the kind of elbow room or leeway that she was enjoying up till now. But all this depends on whether or not these numbers hold true come May 2nd.
All right. Also looking at Mr. Javed Ansari, the personality politics here, as you said, she's not going to have enough elbow room. The numbers would come down, still would be in a position perhaps to retain that power. But Mamata Banerjee also continues to remain the strongest face, the most popular chief ministerial candidate and face compared to anyone else. She's currently in those figures. We play out that plate for our screens and for your reference here as well. In terms of personality politics here, Mamata Banerjee 54.0%. The next phase coming in from the BJP, which is Mr. Dilip Ghosh, but that is way down, maybe by half, 24.9%. The next name after that is Mr. Mukul Roy, once again from the BJP, far down the line there, being 7.3%. And for the Congress and Left Alliance, if you have Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who's at 2.3%, Mr. Sujan Chakrabarti from the CPIM at 4.0%. So, Mr. Javed Ansari, it continues to remain Mamata Banerjee as that all-towering figure. You say West Bengal, it means Mamata Banerjee.
Well, without doubt, there's only one chief ministerial candidate. You know, in order not to be accused of being biased, you may have put up all the other names. But tell me, is there another chief ministerial candidate for all this high voltage campaign that the BJP has mounted? Who's their chief minister candidate? They are pitting Mr. Narendra Modi and Mr. Amit Shah against Mamata Banerjee. And again, if these numbers hold true, then what is the takeaway from that? That these two did not measure up. That the giant colossus, Mr. Narendra Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, did not measure up to Didi. So what would that mean? All the others are just also range. We usually fill up our story by delving into history, and perhaps that's the exercise. The BJP, one thing that the BJP campaign singularly lacks this time is a local face. And we have enough and more empirical evidence to show that where the BJP does not have a strong enough local face, Mr. Modi alone cannot, he can increase your percentage of votes, increase the number of chances, but Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah alone are not enough to catapult you to power. And perhaps this is what was unfolding before us in West Bengal.
Right, Ms. Anila Singh, please respond here to that, because this is also with respect to the outsider versus insider debate here, and it would be so crucial for the BJP to have a local face. The two names here that are coming in for the BJP are much down the ladder here, Mr. Dilip Ghosh as well as Mr. Mukul Roy. Should the BJP be thinking more about having a stronger local face? How do you sustain the insider versus outsider fight then?
Before responding to this question, I will like to answer my co-panelist who blamed that we didn't have enough crowd on the brigade ground, and our IT cell, they had to put the picture of their rally and showing everybody that it was of Modi ji's rally. I mean, more than 1 million people were present there, and we are being accused for this. I'm pretty sure by year end, this bizarre statement will get a prize, prize of most, I can say, bizarre statement of the year, because the ground was full of people and the crowd had come themselves to listen to Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. So please do not say that IT cell did some sort of mischief. Please do not, we are not going to accept that blame. Now coming back to the Chief Minister's face, I think this is a rhetoric.
Are you willing?
Sir, I didn't talk over you. I didn't talk over you.
Anila, complete your point.
Turn.
No.
So
I'll come back to you,
so
Dr. Halim. Anila, please complete your point.
Thank you so much. Yes. Now coming back to the Chief Ministerial candidate phase, I think it's a rhetoric, and Bharatiya Janata Party has become so immune of asking us before each election that who is going to be your Chief Minister. So all with the band, Baja, Barat, opposition and media, they keep on asking us, "Kaun hoga bhai, kaun hoga Chief Minister?" And we always say that Bharatiya Janata Party, not always we declare the face of the Chief Minister. Many times we do, many times we do not. So this is the modus of operandi in Bharatiya Janata Party. So if people should understand that what type of governance we are going to give in West Bengal, and people of West Bengal, they are going to have trust in the way we work. See, if I talk about any common person, they have got very, very basic necessities. And yes, very proudly we can say that 90 lakh people, they got gas connection, 7 lakh people, they got electricity connections, 60 lakh people, they got toilets, 25
all right, so talking about people's issue here, since this is Anila, you've started on the people's issue. Let me take that question forth here to Mr. Shaptik Chakrabarti of the TMC here. Mr. Chakrabarti, what we see the TMC raising in their political campaign here, in their election campaign, to what extent is it really resonating to what the mood of the voter is? We've heard TMC leaders, the Chief Minister included here, talk about rising prices being a major issue, talking about farmers' rights being a major issue, the CAA, NRC, in relatively less terms, but much larger compared to what other parties have brought up here on this. But these are issues which are down the list. If we play out percentage of what we have, rising prices is barely 5% of what the voters are thinking about. Farmers is barely 3%. Much higher on the list is unemployment, a huge chunk. Much higher on the list is electricity, water and roads, roti, kapra, makan. Where is all this reflecting for the TMC's campaign on what you think are the real issues of the voters here?
Well, to start off, I would just like to address, as we say, Bangla Nijer Meke Chai. Thank you for showing the polls. It clearly shows that Bangla Nijer Meke Chai, the daughter of Bengal, is coming back with 54%, and no one near Mr. Dilip Ghosh almost trailing by half of it. So thanks for that. And I heard about gas connections. It shocked me because in Kolkata, it's almost 900 rupees and people are going out on the roads and protesting against it. And again, I'm going to talk about Aam Aadmi, the common people. Let's talk about the common people. They are kind of in a lot of trouble, basically. Petrol, gas, diesel, and lots more. But let me tell you about the unemployment factor which you're talking about. Few days back, 100 bankers, it's a figure, 100 bankers sat together and they have given out 63,000 crore to MSMEs. So that directly affects 27 lakh jobs in Bengal. Who is talking about unemployment? I don't understand. Where it's the worst unemployment year in 45 years history, Bengal's unemployment ratio has come down. Bengal has built its own Silicon Park, where TCS, Wipro, Cognizant, IBM, Ericsson, Capgemini, and so many more are there. I mean, the list is very long. Everyone is working out here. We youth, we are here.
Okay, let's get in final point here. As long as we need to quickly wrap up as far as West Bengal is concerned. We move into Tamil Nadu next here. Dr. Fawad Halim, final point here for West Bengal. What we've heard from you is all reactionary. Reaction to slamming the BJP, reaction to slamming the TMC. What are we to make of the Congress and left and its role in these elections? What is that point that this coalition is reaching out to the voters? Is it all going to be reactionary?
Well, the people are responding to what we are placing before the people of West Bengal. And the things that we are placing before the people of West Bengal are concrete issues. Concrete issues. There are 5.5 lakh government jobs are vacant today. Neither the central government, the BJP, is trying to do anything about it here in West Bengal before the elections. Neither is the Trinamool Congress telling the people of West Bengal what they're going to do about this 5.5 lakh vacant government jobs. The examinations for school teachers and other para teachers, the TET, the SSC, have not been held healthily for the past 10 years of here. Who is teaching the children of West Bengal? The BJP is silent on it. You have got the Tripura experience, what they have done with the teachers over there. The third thing is that in West Bengal, the issue over here is of development.
Okay.
Where is the industrialization coming in here in West Bengal? Neither the central government led by the BJP nor the Trinamool Congress government here in West Bengal are putting anything concrete forward for the people of West Bengal. In the background of the immense inflation, especially food inflation that is hitting everybody, fuel inflation that is hitting everybody, and one has to understand that whenever the prices of petrol, diesel and gas is increasing, the central government takes part of the pickings and part of the pickings are picked up by the state government. So Mamta cannot absolve herself of the rising cost of fuel in West Bengal, whether it be gas or diesel. She's taking a huge amount of that revenue to herself.
Okay.
So, it's
all right. We got your point here, but quite surprisingly, rising prices not really figuring up top of the list for the voters here as per our poll. But appreciate you being with us. Many thanks for being with us this evening. Mr. Javed Ansari, Ms. Anila Singh, of course, continue to stay on with us as we switch focus to the next state of Tamil Nadu. So let's play out those plates here that are coming in for Tamil Nadu. And this is once again keeping in mind basis what the 2016 share of seats is to what we're looking with respect to the projection for the upcoming election. So for the UPA alliance here, which is the DMK, Congress and the others, it's a projection between 154 to 162. That's the range, and that's looking better compared to 2016, because 2016 is at 98. So it's a swing of plus 3.8% there. For the NDA, which is this alliance of the AIADMK and the BJP now, wherein which seat sharing also has just been which has been finalized, we're looking at a projection of 61 to 69 seats in the assembly. Now, this is drastically coming down because the AIADMK currently, from the 2016 figures, which were the last elections that Jayalalithaa had fought under her leadership, was a massive number of 136 seats in the state assembly. So undoubtedly, there is a loss of votes here because of a loss of a massive icon. Even the BJP AIADMK alliance coming together and bringing and Sasikala stepping down for the sake of consolidation of votes, it seems, is still not working to maintain that figure or even to maintain a halfway mark. The other numbers, of course, M&M is looking at a 3 to 7, not looking very promising here. And it's a swing of plus 7.1% because this is, of course, starting at zero. More numbers in this in just a bit here, but let's get in more voices here as well. We have Dr. Kanimori NVN Somu, who's the spokesperson of the DMK. We have Mr. V.A. Pugazen, the spokesperson of the AIADMK as well. My first question to the AIADMK spokesperson. Good evening. Thank you for being with us here. Is the loss of your icon, Jayalalithaa, going to hit the AIADMK the most in these elections?
Good evening, madam. See that last election, 2016, the election, but every the exit poll clearly given the opinion, only DMK will form the government. Kind information to you that Amma created the history by winning continuously for the second time. That all the exit poll opinion is wrong, like that we proved.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, proved. This is the opinion poll given the last time also same. We have done wonderful job in Tamil Nadu now. The 12,110 crores for farmers. The loan has been waived off completely. The need that students, that school students, by which 405 government school students as medical seat they join now because of the scheme. That new scheme, the 4 months announced and implementation that. Opening 11 new medical colleges, 2,000 Amma mini clinic, so many schemes. Now it is now already not only announcement, it is people getting benefited now. This is going on now. So the agenda also election manifesto also on the way. There's a lot of new announcement coming on the way. So this exit poll, we are not bothering this, that because last time we proved that is not correct. So this time also
so
same
you're
thing will be
rejecting. You're rejecting the exit polls, of course, because these numbers not showing in your favor in your favor here. But let's also hear it from the DMK here. This is where the DMK is gaining enough here to hit much beyond the halfway mark and have a healthy alliance with the Congress. Your view, because it's also a difficult time for the DMK. Of course, you have a consolidation of votes with respect to the leadership of Mr. M.K. Stalin is concerned, but it's also for the first time that the DMK would not have its patriarch by its side either.
Hello.
Dr. Kanimori, that question for you, please.
Yes, ma'am. I'm able to hear you only now. Sorry for I think there's some connectivity problem. And good evening to everybody. First of all, there is a vacuum on both sides. I do accept that there had been a leadership here and there. But in DMK, it is not there because our leader has been walking with Mr. Kalankar from his childhood days, and he has been learning the politics, and he has also been the deputy CM, and he has proved himself in so many instances. That is one. Point number two, in 2016, we have lost the elections only by 1% of vote difference with the AIADMK. And last 10 years, they have been ruling Tamil Nadu, and not much of growth has been shown by the AIADMK. And people do want a change, and there is a lot of incumbency on the current EPS and the OPS who's running the government, which was actually elected for the sake of Jayalalithaa. Now, as taking EPS into consideration, EPS is not a CM candidate, and he was not a CM candidate for 2016 elections also, and he's only a projection made by the BJP alliance along with the AIADMK. But whereas the DMK, we have been projecting our leader from day one, and there has been no confusions, and we have been even working with the people even when we are not in power, and we have been taking care of them. Not only that, always it has been proved that during the DMK reign, there has been a lot of improvements, and it's not just a mouth word which is just going out on air. Now, there has been so many things which the AIADMK has not completely done in the last 5 years. They claim there are so many medical colleges. Still now, for Mr. Pugarendi, special
Okay.
reference to make AIMS, still there is only a single stone which is AIMS written there, and still the building is yet to take off. I don't know what is the problem over there. And there was a very bad management of the pandemic in Tamil Nadu, though it was appreciated by the alliance of BJP that it was very well managed and everything. Because of their very mismanagement, we have lost around 12,000 people in Tamil Nadu. And not only that, the relief during COVID had not reached them on time. Now today, EPS claims I am giving you 1,500 rupees and all that stuff. We have already announced it in the 7-point vision day before yesterday by our leader. What was promised by ADMK has not taken up to the air and not reached to the people is what it has been shown. You can see the unemployment, you can see the electricity, how bad roads, the dip in the education system, coming in of NEET into the
Yes, these continue to remain top of the mind for the voters here as well. Ms. Anila Singh, should the BJP be worried right now? The AIDMK not in the same position as it was in 2016. How much the BJP can really gain on piggybacking with the AIDMK this time for these elections?
No, we are pretty sure that we are going to be the participant, a positive participant there in Tamil Nadu, and the NDA government is going to be formed there in the leadership of AIADMK political head, Mr. Palaniswamy. And I am sure that the people of Tamil Nadu, they are going to vote for this combination because they know it very well that the government in the center and the government in the state, if they work together, then definitely there is more progress for the people and for the betterment of the citizens residing in that particular state. So by claiming so many things, I mean, a few days back, DMK, they had taken out a list of the negligence, corruptions, and all the things about AIADMK government there, and the answer was given back by the AIADMK that all these claims are absolutely false. So the fake and the false claims doesn't prove that the government is not performing, and I'm sure that the people of Tamil Nadu, they are going to vote again. And they are going to show the trust in NDA. So this is not only the hope, but
all
this
right.
is the
You
reality.
can't wish away corruption of the AIDMK because now you're in alliance with them here. But if we look at leadership, Mr. Javed Ansari, do you think the loss of face for both parties is the biggest loss, the loss of the iconic faces, neither of the two faces for these election here? Current Chief Minister, Mr. EPS here, not as popular. 31.0% is what he's got as far as popularity votes here, going for a popular Chief Minister candidate. And the benefit to that here is coming in for MK Stalin for the DMK at 38.4%.
Clearly, the AIDMK has been the one that has suffered the most on account of the passing away of Ms. Jayalalithaa. Of course, Karunanidhi was a towering figure, a colossus, but Stalin has the advantage of working with him. He's his natural legatee. He's inherited the political legacy left behind by his father. He was under training for a very long time, and that has been a seamless transition. Compared to what has happened in the AIDMK, they've fought, they've split, they're now threatening to come back again. Sasikala wanted to make her presence felt and then was prevailed upon by some behind-the-scenes maneuverings to stay out for the moment. So all that is going to tell. And traditionally, if you look, barring the last time, I mean, by and large, Tamil Nadu, they've changed power every 5 years, as is the case in Kerala. The last time around, surprisingly, the DMK alliance couldn't get the better of the AIADMK alliance. That also largely because the Congress punched way below its weight this time around. The DMK has been very firm. They're very strict, as very measly when it comes to distribution of tickets, and they are not giving an inch. So Stalin certainly, tarring all the other chief ministerial aspirants, and that is working in its favor. And don't forget, DMK has a very formidable organization, formidable cadre, which largely remains with Mr. M.K. Stalin, as was evident from the last Lok Sabha elections and even now. So I'm not in the least surprised by what we are seeing now. In fact, I'd be surprised if the figure doesn't go up more in favor of the DMK.
All right. Okay. Mr. Pugasendi, talking about people's issues, what voters' issues, top of the mind, taking away the biggest chunk are two issues which are directly connected to the central government, which are directly connected to your alliance with the BJP, and there'll be a lot of expectations for you to be answerable. Rising prices is 17% on that list for the voters. The farmers' issue, also keeping in mind the protest that we've seen on the central government farm laws here, it's going to take all of that into account, which is 18.9%. So these are the top two issues for the voter here. And how is it that you're going to deal with it? Because these are issues which, as I said, are directly connected to the central government, directly connected to your alliance partner, the BJP.
That is madam, that is others. Then I'm telling that that is only the state getting lot of benefits. The because of Amma, that Amma introduced a lot of schemes that getting 20 to 30 kgs rice for 2 crores people, kind information below poverty people getting that. Then free cycle for education loan, education money also giving. Then laptop giving freely. There are so many things going on in Tamil Nadu. So now also that we announced 1,500 rupees for each every house, that housewives getting that. This is the thing, schemes are there. There is here absolutely no problem. Dr. Kanimudi just now mentioned that COVID-19, the only the state have done wonderful job and appreciated from the central government, WHO also kind information. We are the #1 government tested more, the COVID-19 test. That factor not let her tell. Simply she is saying some problem or something that nothing is a problem. Only that I accept that the gas, the petrol, diesel not in our hand.
So, Dr. Kanimudi, please respond to that. All the Amma welfare schemes here, can it nullify the newer concerns, the farmers' issue and the current rising prices here? Can those schemes nullify these newer concerns?
Ma'am, there has no schemes developed by EPS after the demise of Jayalalithaa. Let me be very, very clear on that. We have been continuously having a price hike in Tamil Nadu, which has been terribly faced by the people of Tamil Nadu. Last 1 year, there have been so much of unemployment because of COVID, and we have been asking them to support the people momentarily, which the EPS and the OPS have been denying it, and it is only on the deaf ears of them. One. Number two is there were these claims to say that there's a lot of testing things. People number tested were definitely less than what the WHO criteria has given. Let Mr. Pugasendi go back and see into what is the WHO criteria given, how many people needs to be tested per day. And first of all, there was always a discrepancy of 450 deaths in COVID, which was matched with the government and with the corporation. Let Mr. Pugasendi not forget about this. After the demise of Jayalalithaa, they all claim this is Amma's Archie, Amma's Archie.
But yes, there was a discrepancy reported here, but as per our figures coming in, COVID-19 not resonating much as much of an issue here. It's barely at 4.03% here for the voters. Anila Singh, would you like to respond to this here, because it's for the BJP's election campaign in the state here to be facing the voters with this on what's troubling them the most is the rising prices. What's troubling them the most is the farmers' issues here, and to have the BJP directly respond to that, because this is connected to the central government policies.
So, if we talk about the farmers' issue, and especially if we talk about the 3 farm laws, I am pretty sure that the farmers in Tamil Nadu, they understand that what good these three farm laws are going to do for them. See, the scenario in Punjab, Haryana or Western Uttar Pradesh is totally different from Tamil Nadu. So these three laws, they are going to benefit Tamil Nadu farmers, and this is not going to reflect in any way negatively in upcoming polls. And if we talk about the rising price, especially of petroleum products, then we know it very well that only central government is not responsible for that. I mean, state governments, even they take lion's share. So if somebody says that central government, Bharatiya Janata Party government is to be blamed for the higher petroleum products prices, that is absolutely wrong. And the people of Tamil Nadu, they also understand. And I mean, all the 5 states which are going for the poll, they and whole of the country, they understand that these are very trying conditions, very unprecedented conditions through which the whole of the country is going through, and very
right.
soon
Mr. Javed Ansari, is this going to be a very extremely understanding voter? Because a lot of times what we hear from the BJP campaign in other states as well is double engine gadi, do engine ki gadi, have us in the center, have us in the state here. But these are issues that are impacting lives because it's not a restricted state issue. It's coming down from the center.
No, I don't think so. But as far as, this hair splitting, there's a lot of merit in what Anila Singh ji is saying, that the states also impose their own duty and generate a lot of revenue. But in the people's eye, the center is primarily seen as being responsible for hike in petroleum prices. Anila Singh ji is now taking this wise position. But her own leader, when he was in the opposition, always used to blame the then government. He said that the price of petrol is exceeding even Manmohan Singh's age. So, I mean, political parties adopt positions depending on where they stand. Today, Anila Singh ji is in governance, so she's singing one tune. Tomorrow, or whenever, if they happen to be in the opposition, they'll be saying exactly the same things that the DMK, the left, and the Congress have to say on this issue.
All right. With that, we're going to move on to the next state here. Appreciate all of you being with us. We're in fact going to move on with our other set of guests here as well. Mr. Javed Ansari continues to stay on with us here. Let's take those numbers now that are coming in from the state of Kerala. Let's play out the seat projection here. This is for the LDF. And what we have on an average here on this is between 78 to 86, which means there is a minus 0.6%. So largely the current government sitting on a very, very good position could perhaps along expected lines basis these figures continue to carry on in power in the second term here as well. For the UDF here, it's between 52 to 60%. It's a loss. It's a loss in a swing of minus 1.2%, given the fact currently the UDF is at 47 here. The BJP is from 0 to 2. So the BJP making a gain in that projection here, starting from 1 and then making that gain here is what we have. So it's not going to be a massive gain as what we've seen in West Bengal. West Bengal, the gain is much more. It could be along phenomenal lines, but in Kerala, it still seems like a struggle here for the BJP. Still perhaps a long way to go. Mr. Javed Ansari, as we said, continues to stay on with us, senior journalist. We have Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, who's the national spokesperson of the BJP. And we have more state voices here coming in as well. Mr. Anil Anthony, spokesperson of the Congress, the KPCC. And Mr. A.N. Shamsir here, who's the member of the Kerala Legislative Assembly. He's representing the Talaseri constituency here. This is, of course, of the Kannur district. He's with us from the CPIM. And let's in fact make... Okay, we're going to be making a start here with Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal. Good evening. Thank you for being with us. Are the Kerala projections worrisome for the BJP?
No, these all these projections are just surveys, and because actually it has been alternative rules between UDF and LDF. People have an expectation that BJP may not be fighting for forming government, but that perception we are trying to change. I have come to from Kerala just today. The response that we got on the Kerala Vijay Yatra was tremendous, and one after another, the issues against the LDF are quite serious because Pinarayi Vijayan seems to be completely failing in governance issues. There is no infrastructure, no employment generation, no industries being set up, and only he believes in distribution of wealth creation, which was basically from remittances. And now everybody wants that there should be industries in Kerala, employment generation should be there. The people of Kerala are well educated and there is a high literacy rate, but there are no industries. The roads are bad. So communist government have failed completely, and UDF in itself is confused whether they are fighting communist in Kerala and then aligning with communist parties in West Bengal. So these confusions about Sabrimala, love jihad, the minority population of Christians, they all are so fed up with the Pinarayi Vijayan government. So these issues are cumulatively showing that BJP has sufficiently good scope for growing, and that perception from the people's mind that BJP is not fighting for forming government has to go away. We are now working day and night to come out with that perception, just remove that perception. Once that happens, the anti-LDF vote will come to BJP. I am very sure on that.
Mr. Javed Ansari, to what extent this will, in your view, start reflecting on ground in terms of numbers, or is this for this election season as well, could continue to remain a perception battle? This is strictly with respect to the BJP here.
Kerala, along with Andhra, Tamil Nadu, are states where the BJP is fighting to gain a foothold. In the south, till now, Karnataka is the only one where they are a serious player. They've formed government several times and they are now in power as well. But to be fair to them, these are states. The states that I mentioned are ones where they've had very negligible presence. It's only now under Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah that they are trying to increase their footprints across the country, and these states fall into that category. They are still not at the stage where they will be serious contenders for power. They have to depend on the AIADMK in Tamil Nadu, on allies in Andhra Pradesh and in Kerala. They're trying to go on their own. But it will take them a couple of elections before they become serious players for power. Which is, right now, their main focus appears to be West Bengal. Even if they do not form the government in West Bengal, they will be serious. They will have established themselves as serious contenders of power in that state.
Okay, let's try to take that point across here to Mr. Anil Antony. If we're connected with the spokesperson of the Congress here on this, also taking into account other figures here. This is, of course, basis as far as personality, popular personality here. The current Chief Minister, Mr. Vijayan of the CPIM, continues to dominate that list here at 38.0%. Mr. Oomen Chandy of the INC here, who was the previous Chief Minister in the previous term in the previous government, is pretty close with 28.3%, and other members, of course, further down the list in single-digit figures here of what we are getting in. Mr. Javed Ansari, does it seem as a surprise here to you, because there's also ongoing investigations with respect to the gold smuggling scam, or what we've seen murmurs, noises, statements that continue to be made on how directly the Chief Minister's office is perhaps allegedly connected to that. But as far as his positioning in terms of winnability, in terms of popularity, seems largely unaffected.
Look, there are two leading figures, towering figures in the state of Kerala and their politics. One is Mr. Vijayan, the other is Mr. Oman Chandi. It will come as a surprise to a lot of people. The current trends buck conventional wisdom, because Kerala has always oscillated one term for the UDF, the next term for the LDF. So if the LDF does manage to win a second consecutive term, that will be quite an achievement. And it would be largely on account of Mr. Vijayan, his handling of the COVID crisis, as also the floods that hit Kerala last year. The Congress appears to be suffering from some kind of a problem between Mr. Chandi and Mr. Ramesh Chanitala. Till the local bodies election, everybody imagined that it will be Mr. Ramesh Chanitala who will be the face of the Congress going forward into the elections. But given the fact that they didn't do as well as they expected to, they brought Mr. Chandi back into the scheme of things, and now they are hoping to close the gap. So we still need to watch, because Kerala always swings between five-year term to one, and then the next 5-year term to the other. If they buck the trend, then all credit to the CPM and to the left and to Mr. Vijayan. But we'll need to watch this one very closely.
All right, Mr. Anil Anthony, final question here to you, as long as we stay here in the state of Kerala here. In the Congress's calculation here, your Chief Minister will face popular but not popular enough perhaps to help come back in power here. Also, the seat projections here that are coming in are between 52 to 60.
Good evening, sir. First of all, I would like to say very clearly that the Congress party has a lot of reservations on these numbers, and these are not based on just 5-year trends, but based on the ground realities. The current survey, it says that our performance is almost very similar to what it was 5 years back. But something we fail to take into notice is that something very seismic happened sometime in the middle, and that was in 2019, where in the Lok Sabha elections, even against all the national trends, so the 20 seats we won 19, and that vote share, we had almost 47% vote share, which is almost 12% more than our closest competitor. Later on, we didn't do as well as we anticipated in the local body elections. But in the last 1 month, our party, led by our national leadership, has taken a lot of very strong course-corrective steps, and our ground reports do say that we are in the right direction. So, like even some of my previous speakers have said, after our local body elections, our central leadership has created a 10-member strategy committee led by our former Chief Minister Sri Oman Chandi and 9 other most popular Congress leaders we have in the state. And we are the only state party that is giving an option of a collective leadership. So that itself is one of the changes. Then, in the last few weeks, our central leadership has given a task to Dr. Shashi Tharoor MP to head the manifesto committee, and he has been touring across the state, talking to all sections of our population, and we are presenting a very futuristic manifesto for a world-class Kerala. And it is driving a new narration and a new course in our state.
All right, so you're moving ahead confidently despite some of these projections. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that here. But a lot of our guests, of course, speaking in relative terms, and they're talking about their 2019 projections, which is Lok Sabha. We are strictly keeping it to State Assembly. Whatever our projections are, basis 2016 of the State Assembly elections of the previous term here. Stay on with us. We still have Assam to scrutinize here. Back in just a bit. Let's quickly play out the projections here that are coming in for the state of Assam as far as the NDA, which is currently in power in the assembly, in the state assembly there. For the NDA, the seat projection is from 62 to 70. And as we know, it is currently sitting at 74. So that's a reduction of four seats there. For the UPA, the projection here is from 53 to 61. That's an increase to what it currently has in the State Assembly, which is 39. We have a voice from Assam here coming in as well. We have Ms. Bobita Sharma, who's the senior spokesperson, chairperson of the media department. This is of the Assam Pradesh Congress here. Appreciate you being with us along with our other panelists here. Bobita, the concern here being for the Congress, while it's increasing its numbers basis that projection, it's still not an increase enough to go above that halfway mark. And without, this time, for the first time in your elections, without the leadership of your icon, Mr. Gogoi, how is this going to be possible?
Well, as per the Sea Voter survey, the expected difference of votes of NDA and UPA is 2%. And taking this into account, I would like to state that in 2016, the total votes polled was 1,69,26,961 votes. And supposing we take an increase of 10% this time in 2021, so we would expect 1,86,00,000 of votes being polled. If we take this into account, then 1% of this will be 1,86,000. And if we divide this into 126 constituencies, then we get approximately 1,500 votes over and above the assessment of Sea Voter. If they decide to vote for the Congress, then Congress will win. Let me make it simpler. In other words, you can say that approximately in a constituency, there are 200 polling booth stations, and polling booth stations approximately have 800 voters. And out of these 800 voters, if 8 persons of the total assessment of the Sea Voter, they decide to vote for the Congress.
So what you're saying here, even these projections are encouraging, perhaps inching a bit more on the higher side here, and the Congress could manage in Assam. But Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal here, final point very quickly here to you, because the BJP sitting in a comfortable position, also as far as popularity of your leader, Chief Minister Sonowal, is concerned, is 45.2%. So a lot of policies for the first time that the BJP was in power in the state government seems to have worked, perhaps for a record second term this time.
Yeah, definitely. BJP's focus had been on the Northeast, and particularly Assam and all the Northeast. The infrastructure push in last 6 years, you will see there is a marked difference. And I have also visited many places in the Northeast, and those people were always feeling that for past several decades under the UPA and previous government, they were just feeling that they were being left out. Now, today also Tripura, the Prime Minister inaugurated so many infrastructure projects. And under Sarbanand Sonowal ji, the Assam's culture, the way Majuli has developed tourism, culture, wildlife, infrastructure. We have 2 bridges on the Brahmaputra which were just languishing for almost 2 decades. So there is a big difference, and that difference is showing on the ground. Sarbanand Sonowal ji have been working very hard, and I am very sure that BJP will regain its full control, and people are very happy that the integration and the development in Northeast is taking much more focused approach under Shri Narendra Modi ji's central government.
All right, so the BJP perhaps only further strengthening its position here in the state of Assam here. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that, but thank you so much for all our experts and panelists who've been with us. We've taken into account various issues basis this opinion poll, a lot of interesting figures thrown up here, and let's see what eventually happens on ground, perhaps very closely along the lines of what we've seen in these poll figures there. Thanks for being with us.